Hello, this is Ben Falk for KillerSites.com. I wanted to do a quick supplemental video adding on to the series that I recently did on CRUD basics with PHP and mysqli. I want to show how to modify the view.php file that we created in order to add some basic pagination. I do want to stress that this is just one way to approach this. There are multiple ways to do pagination, but I want to show you a simple way that you can use in your projects. I've opened view.php and you'll see it looks like this. It's exactly the same code that we created in, I believe, part 1 of the previous series. So I've gone ahead and added several different records to this example. And now I'm going to go ahead and change to the paginated example so you can have an indication of what we're going to be building. So it looks like this. So it limits the number of records that appear per page and then gives us a pretty basic navigation, allowing us to skip through all the different records. Okay, so let me open up viewpaginated.php, and this has the exact same code as view.php that we established earlier. So let's get started building this. So I'm going to go ahead and basically delete everything between the connect and close database connection lines. And for simplicity's sake here, let me go ahead and hide the file browser. That makes things a little bit simpler. Okay, so let's first consider how many records we want to show per page. And for this example, I'm going to stick to a low number. I'm going to do 3 just for the sake of the example, but obviously if you were using this on a real website, you probably want 10 or more. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to figure out how many records are actually in the database. So we'll go ahead and do that with if result and we'll do a query. We'll do select, start from players, order by ID. Okay, so and if that returns true, if the results, we'll continue. Otherwise, we need to do an error message. So I'm going to echo out like so. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then secondly, we want to make sure that there are actual records to display. So in that case, we're going to just do if result so if the number of rows that's returned by this query is larger than 0, we're going to go ahead and continue. Otherwise, we'll echo out a statement to the user. Oopsie. We'll go no results to display. With that basic error checking out of the way, let's move up within the if statement and let's set a couple variables. Let's set total results, and we'll set that to result num rows. So that'll give us the total number of rows that are in our database. And then let's also get the total number of pages. And that's going to be set with using the ceil function. And I'm going to give that function total results. And I'm going to divide total results by the per page. And just to be clear, this particular function allows us to round to the highest integer value. So for example, say we have 10 results and we want to show 5 per page. Here, this will generate 2. In case it generates a decimal, it'll round it up automatically. So that's that. And then we want to check if the page variable is set within the URL. We want to specify which records to display. So I'm going to do that by checking if the page variable is set. So page, and we want to make sure we do a little bit of validation. So I'm going to check if it's isNumeric. Okay, so in case that's true, we're going to go ahead and grab the necessary data. Otherwise, let's set things just to their default value. So I'm going to set start, which indicates the first record we want to show. I'm going to set that to 0. And I'm going to set end. That's going to be the per page value that we set up here. So in case page is not set in the URL, it's going to default and it's going to show records 0 through 3. Okay. Excuse me, to go back on that, it's going to show records 0 through 2 because per page we're going to show a total of 3 records per page. Okay, so to go back into our if statement, now we're going to do show page. I'm going to set that to get. Okay, so that's the page that we want to show. And now we're going to make sure if this is larger than 0. And show page is less than or equal to the total number of pages displayed or set here. We're going to set the start variable. It's going to be show page -1 and times the per page value. And end is going to be start value plus the per page value. There we go. Okay, so just to go back over this quickly, let's say show page value is set, which means the page value is set. So let's say we're viewing, let's say we're on page number 1. So it's going to be show page -1. So it's 1 minus 1, so 0 times per page is still going to be 0. So it's going to start at 0. If page is 2, it's going to start at 1 times per page, so it's going to start at number 3. So hopefully that explains the logic clearly enough behind that. Okay, and then if show page is for some reason 0 or for some reason less or equal to the total number of pages, we're also going to do the same thing that we did here. We're just going to show the first records, first set of records. Okay, so this determines the number of pages through here. So now, and to be clear, let me check this quickly. Okay, so now we're going to want to go ahead and actually display the pagination. And I'm going to specifically display the navigation that allows you to navigate between pages. So I'm going to echo out a p tag, and I'm going to allow the user to switch back and forth between the page that shows all results and the page that shows the paginated results. So view all. And view specific page. There we go. So that's the first portion of it. And now let's do a for loop to display links to all the paginated pages. So I'm just going to set up a temporary variable called I. I'm going to set it to 1. And while I is less than or equal to the total number of pages, we're going to add 1 to I every time it loops. And then we also want to remove the link if we're on the current page. So for example, if we're on page 1, we don't want to show a link to page 1. So in that case, I'm going to do if is set. I'm just going to make sure that this variable is set before we try to access it. So if that's set, and if this equals the I variable, we're going to go ahead and just echo out the page number. So we're going to echo I, and then we're going to echo out a space after. Otherwise, we want to actually display a link. So we're going to do echo, and then we want to pass it the page variable. So page equals, and then we're going to set that to I. Close out the link, add a space at the end, and finish it off. Okay, so let's save this and see where we are at the moment.